Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scoops VFLW Game Changers Show. I'm your host, Scoops, the sole admin of Scoops. But this week, I am not here on my own, so let's introduce the co-host for this evening.
Awesome.
Check side. Here we go. We need magic this round. Oh, yes. There we go. Issy scoops it up. 4 scoops. And she gets it. See? You're scooping it up for scoops. Good job. Mini torp left foot. You're opposite. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The reaction says it all easy. You're telling me. Yeah. Yeah, no, it wasn't too shit. It's such good shit. It's good shit.
Izzy Hartog from the Sandy VFLW side. Welcome back, Izzy.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Now, the weekend, obviously, it's a really interesting round overall, I feel, Izzy. There was some teams that came from behind to get the victory. There was some blowouts. You had a round as a whole, Izzy. You had a bit of everything this round.
It really did. It was a bit of an interesting round going back and looking at all the outcomes and everything. But I think it shows that it's more of an even playing field than people think. So yeah.
For sure, yeah. When you look at the ladder, I mean, I think the Bulldogs are just outside. I think they're only percentage out, and then Darabin's won 3 in a row, so they're only percentage out, I think, as well, or maybe a game in percentage. So from Darabin up, it's anyone's to play at the moment, and even for the sides like Casey, they've probably improved a little, albeit they haven't won the last few weeks or any games this year, but they've been probably a side that, the last 2 weeks they gave it a red hot crack against the Bombers, and then this week, not so much. Yeah,
they're very competitive. They're a good side. Yeah, definitely.
Sure, so it's all over the place, and with the ladder, and it's sometimes a good thing to. And then you have North Melbourne. They lose this week and come from high win from Collingwood. So, and then it's funny, Collingwood. I say when you were last on, they're just they got a good side. They got to fix this up eventually, and they have the last year with Box Hill last week, and then now North. Yep. So that's 2 massive scalps.
The sleeping giant, like I said.
The sleeping giant, for sure. Now, on the show today, we're obviously going to go through my team of the week. I'm obviously going to go through some heavily debated topics. I'll obviously talk to Izzy about all things Sandy the last few weeks. And obviously, we'll go through the games as a whole from the weekend and preview the upcoming games. But I thought we'll start off with my good old famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Now, the topic, I haven't even told Izzy what I'm going to bring up here. So, again, it's probably a similar topic about what I'm going to bring up this time. And just more examples keep popping up, Izzy. And it is the clock. It is the time clock. It is the clock that never stops. Now, on the weekend, there was probably more than one example, but there was one game in particular in the Bulldogs Box Hill clash. In the game, they had 2 players go down. One, I think, was about roughly, I don't know the exact time, was around 2 minutes something. And then there was one in the last quarter or third quarter where another player went down for about 2 minutes. And the clock did not stop. These were legitimate injuries, but the clock did not stop. And, again, it's a frustrating thing. I mean, well, in the end, that game ended up being a blowout from a margin point of view. So, but it's just to see this, though. And even the commentary were mentioning, going, I wonder if the clock's stopping. So everyone else is just as confused as you. I feel like, they're not entirely sure what's going on here. It's just very frustrating. I know I've been on it a few times and I've brought up some other topics in the last few weeks, but, what do you feel about it? Because I feel like it sometimes can be a thing that's, a bit annoying.
It's very confusing to know when the time is going to stop for what injury. Like, I know one of our girls against Casey, she went down, she injured her leg, and then the clock did stop, but only after a certain period of time. And yeah, it's really confusing as a player. Like, our coaches know up in the box whether the time clock stopped or stopped or not. And then they're talking to the people on the bench. But as a player, you're out in the field, you don't know whether the time's actually stopped because it's still ticking over. And then like the rules and stuff around that, I think they're bloody muddy. Like it's so muddy, it's so inconsistent, and I feel like, yeah, like, if that's a closer game and yeah, you're losing 5 minutes, 5, 6, 7 minutes out in the game because players are injured, which is fair enough. You wanna make sure that they get all the medical treatment possible, but I think in certain aspects, time needs to be stopped for any
Mm,
injury, but I also think it's dependent on the umpire as well, so
yeah.
some of the umpires really good at doing the double whistle blow and calling time off, which is,
Mm,
quite clear, but then
yeah.
others aren't. So I think it's just the inconsistency around it, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure, and that's right. And last week, where I mentioned, and I actually had the footage because I was at the Box Hill Collingwood game last week. Is in it was that close game, and it was like Gabby Collingwood kicked her behind with about what would have been 45 seconds left to go after she got behind, and they were down by 2 points. We're talking about close games, and I feel like this is another example of not an injury time, but the time keep continuing to go. I know that I can't remember who the Collingwood player was, but whoever had the kick out, then the ball went through the points. It kept going. They obviously took their time to grab the ball, and again, within the rules, but I don't like how it's allowed. That's why it should be changed. And that play just took their time to get the ball. Then when they actually got in the goal square to, kick out, they stood there, and I counted it, about 13 to 15 seconds just standing there, didn't even attempt to move it. And that's 13, 15 seconds plus the 7 seconds or so to retrieve the ball. So that's 20 seconds left there. The ball was on the wing, on the 50-meter arc, then went out of bounds, and then the siren went. And that's another 20, 30 seconds there that could easily win on the game, or anyone for that
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, I think it's inconsistent. I think we've been saying it as players for a couple of years now, like,
Mm,
you need to yeah, what they do with time on, because I know definitely teams play that time sensitive type of thing. Like, with
mm,
no time on, you're more inclined to, get up slower from a stoppage. You're not handing the ball back straight to the umpire or doing, yeah, you're playing the clock a little bit, which in those tight
mm,
games we're actually told to do because there's no time on. But I don't think it's, you want to give each team the best chance to win. And I just think, yeah, having time on is probably the best way to get about that. Whether it's in the last half of the quarter, last 5 minutes, that's when they decide to, churn through having time on. Um, just to, keep teams accountable. Sorry.
mm,
But yeah, you never know. Like it's just incredibly inconsistent, I think. So
mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to single point losses or things like that. Yeah, really, really full on.
Sure. Now, Collingwood, obviously, they're a side, as we just said about before the season. I had them in my top four, and I was being a bit disappointed with how they performed. There was games where I thought they could have done a lot better than they did, and now, no matter how late, they've started to now start off the last 2 weeks, and we'll get to your game, sorry, on the weekend coming up, which is coincidentally against Collingwood. They're starting to hit their form now a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah, they're looking really good. I think I'm not surprised at all, to be very honest. I
Mm,
think Tom Cashin over there with the Magpies, he does a really good job coaching them and stuff like that. And then I know a few of the girls over there as well, and they're hard workers. It would have just been a not played together type of thing. There's been a bit of chopping and changing about who's playing and who's on the list and things like that. And I know that there was definitely a lot of new girls going over.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's a sleeping giant type of situation. We're quite not nervous to play them, but I think it's going to
Mm,
be a ripper of a game, and also being at Vic Park, it'll be an
mm.
interesting one.
For sure. What's it like? Is it two playing on grounds that they haven't played on before, or haven't played much on before? Do you more say than your home grounds where you're there every second week, every couple of weeks in a row sometimes? Does it add a little bit more to it? Like, do you get more excited for an away venue compared to the usual home ground all the time?
I love playing at home. I can't really ever argue, but there is some grounds that I've played at, like being away. There's some grounds I've played at more than others. Um, Even through local footy and stuff like that. Like played at Box Hill a little bit, which is quite weird. Um,
Mm,
and then yeah, I've played a gym Deakin at Oval down at Geelong,
yeah.
like all 3 years that I've played VFL. Um, Vic Park I've played it once. So
Mm,
like never played at North Melbourne home ground. Like there's definitely some interesting ones. It is a little bit more nerve-wracking because you don't know what the ground's going to be like, whether it's going to be, going to have holes and divots, or whether it's going to be like a
mm,
fast, short grass, hard ground, or whether you're going to feel slow on it, or you're going to go for a bounce all of a sudden and then the ball
mm.
just dies on you. You never know. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's a bit. Yeah, I've played on Vic Park once in my first year of VFL, so I'm a little
yeah,
bit nervous to go back there, but yeah, it should be
mm.
good.
Yeah, well, I mean, this probably doesn't help. We bring up Vic Park and you're playing there this week, but well, I didn't go this week there, but the week prior when it was raining, that goal square was legitimate mud. It was no grass, it was like legitimate mud, and a lot of puddles in that area where the grandstand is. The one closest to the entrance, basically, that side where all the rooms are. That side is that goal square. That's the one that's a bit interesting. It's a pure
Bit
mud.
going. I was
Yes.
yeah, I think the one time I played there, we were walking out and yeah, bit of mud there in that pocket, not great. So
Mm.
yeah, not great.
Oh, I just got to kick a few snags in that pocket, and then that'll be all forgotten, hey?
Exactly. If I can finally kick a goal, then we'll have different opinions. But until then, yeah.
For sure. Now, Izzy, obviously with your side, Sandy had. What do you put down to the little lapse in form? Because we'll start talking about the game soon. But what do you put that little lapse to? Because like you mentioned off camera, 13 up a 3/4 time. It's a decent lead. What do you kind of put the lapse to? And then like you clicked on very much at the end, with like Jordan Membry and Erica Fowler took some good pack marks at the end. So where do you put that lapse of form? Like what do you put that kind of down to?
I think we still played consistently from our intensity from the third.
Mhm.
But I think Port always bring good stuff late. They've always done that. The girls, like, they rock up, it's never say die attitude, which is really admiring. And I think they definitely brought that. And I don't think we really knew how to take that. It was similar to, the situation with Williamstown.
Mm.
Yeah, and then I think not knowing stuff we're going to train this week, not knowing what to do in that final, 4 minutes or something when we've got a mark on the wing, like what are we doing with it? And Port were really good at flooding numbers back and filling those little holes with people, whether they were going to take a mark. Um, where it's a different scenario to Williamstown because both teams we both wanted to
Mm.
win. So yeah, they're trying to take their marks, but then we're trying to keep it going forward. It was, yeah, a bit of a weird one to be honest, but similar to last week, we just weren't awake in the first quarter. You take
Mm.
you take a goal and 3 points off, and we're
Mm.
winners again. So it's definitely something we're going to be
Mm.
training and we're looking at in review because yeah, it's
Mm.
obviously nowhere near good enough to be waking up halfway through the first quarter. And
Mm.
against these good sides like Williamstown, like Port Melbourne, and probably like against anyone, being awake in that first 5 minutes is crucial. So
Mm.
yeah, I
Sure.
would put it down to probably the last 5 minutes of like the first 5 minutes, the last 5 minutes. That's when
Yes.
our like objectives weren't overly clear. So yeah, that's
Mm.
what I think it was.
I was going to say because they were like 1-5, I think, at the start of that first quarter, weren't they?
Yeah, yeah. And then we come out
Mm.
and score 2 goals, which is great. But if we're shoes on the other foot and we come out in the first quarter, score 2 goals, we put them in the back foot. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now against the old side, Izzy, for you personally, how was that feeling? We were speaking about this a few weeks ago. That it was so close. So how was it that day? Did you get any extra nerves going against the old side for the first time? How was that?
A little bit nervous. Like there's, I was close to a lot of the girls in there.
Mm.
Not so much anymore, which is sad, obviously. But
Mm.
yeah, like there was a little bit of feeling. To be honest, I really wanted to get the win.
Yes.
Happy we didn't lose, but definitely would have liked to win more.
Mm.
Interesting playing it. Yeah, interesting because I know a lot of the girls like how they go about their footy, and it's interesting to be on the receiving end to a bit of it. Um, but
Mm.
yeah, it was definitely nerve-wracking going into it. I think Sophie Locke also played there, and then Lockie Harris, our coach, he coached there. So there was a bit of
Mm.
feeling from us three, and then yeah, a couple others as well. So it was weird to be honest. Never really changed clubs. So
Mm.
yeah, a bit weird going into it being like, oh, like playing against my old club where, when I played in Queensland, I changed clubs and I changed leagues. So yeah,
Yes.
not anything I've really ever been a part of. So yeah.
Mm. Was there any lip at all?
Not any lip. I did get whacked a few times.
Um,
Yeah, got whacked right in the face once.
well.
Wasn't too happy about that.
Mm.
But it's all part and parcel as well. Like I've got to, yeah, all part and parcel. So you
Mm.
can't really argue with it. You've just got to get up and keep going, I guess.
Sure. Now you mentioned the draw there. Now there's always a hot topic in in any league for that matter, whether a draw should remain as a draw, whether there should be time added on. How are you with that? Because you just mentioned that you didn't lose and didn't win. How do you put that down to? And do you feel like extra time should automatically be a thing, or are you happy with how it is with a draw?
I think in round games, completely happy with it being draws. I think end of time, you got to cop it. Weirdly enough, I was a part of a going to be draw in a grand final in Queensland.
Oh, going
So
to be.
yeah, because we ended full time. It was
Mm-hmm.
draw.
Yep.
And then they did 5 minutes. I think it was 5 minutes each way or something
Yeah.
like that.
Mm.
And I agreed with that. Not can't do the whole Collingwood St Kilda thing from 2010.
Don't
Where
remind
you
me.
get
Don't remind me. Yes.
when you come back and play the next week. So I think if it's a final, then that's when extra time definitely comes in. I think round games, I think you let it be. To be honest,
Mm.
if you can't split them, you've got so much time in a game of footy. If you can't split them at the full time siren, then you're probably not going to split them, or it's going to be like a lucky goal that gets past and
Yeah.
a few guys on the sideline cramping or something. So yeah.
Yeah, I know it's always a hot topic in any league, isn't it? I mean, if it got changed, I don't think I would care. If it stays, it just stays. Okay, I feel like I'm in that boat where whatever it is, it doesn't matter either way. I suppose maybe if you're playing, you might have in the general feel might be a tad different because I've seen a lot of players when they get interviewed post games, they say it's a weird type feeling. They don't know how to feel about it.
We didn't know how to feel. Like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, I could have happily said, yeah, let's play 5 more minutes, and we were probably, it's a weird one. Like, because you're finishing the game where the ball is, and then you're back to middle of
In
the
the
ground
middle,
going
yeah.
up again. Yeah, and I think the momentum was really switching each way. Like, I don't think any team really had the momentum. So would have loved to play 5 more minutes. I reckon we could have, done a couple more things, but also, yeah, can't really argue with it. I think they could have done some more things, got a goal. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, I thought, and that it's funny because as you knew, I was at the Saints game and all just going there. So I watched the whole last quarter on my phone off the train, and then I'm looking at it. Like you, I didn't know where it was going when Geordie Membry marked a few. I thought, oh, yep, here we go. Then they got it back. Like, oh, crap, actually, now they might. And same with Erica Fellman. She marked. I thought they were a chance there. And then I think one of the Port Melbourne, I think it was Georgia Foreign, had a kick from like 35 on like the left flank or something. I thought, gee, this might actually go in, and then someone on the line, that thing just stopped or it bounced or something like that. So there's like, all those swings and roundabouts. I thought, what's going on here?
It's like all the what ifs, I reckon. It makes you awfully nervous. Like, it kind of makes me a little bit nervous still talking about it because you're like, crap. Like, I was on the sideline. Yeah, I was off the last 5 minutes, and it was just very nerve-wracking. Like, I wish I was just on there and I just like punched the ball forward, just get a point. Like, literally at that stage, like, you just need a point to win. Like, if nothing's too deep. Like, yeah, but oh well, what can you do?
Yeah. Now, one thing I did notice is at some point during the game, you ditched the long sleeve. Tell us about that. You don't normally do that.
No, I don't. We had our Indigenous jerseys on.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so had my normal jersey, like normal long sleeve on underneath, and then went the Indigenous jersey over the top, and then it got to half time, and I was just getting a bit, I don't know, I was just feeling a bit hot and heavy, and just needed it off. Yeah, didn't like it. Both me and Ari weren't overly happy about having our shoulders out. Yeah, quite funny. She went for the short sleeve from the start, so yeah, I was alone in my long sleeve brigade, unfortunately. But
half a game.
For half a game, and then I joined her, and then we were both looking at each other like, well, we didn't know we had shoulders, so yeah.
Oh, well, I'm sure you'll both have it back next game. Oh, we'll see.
Yes.
Now, all right. Now let's go through the team of the week that I've assembled. Now, again, it's most weeks. I mean, some people just say for the sake of saying it, they say it's always so hard to choose, but this is what I've gone with. Let's just say some positions were pretty simple, but some, in terms of debating, was pretty damn interesting. Now I've just realised I made a mistake on the banner, but I'll mention that inclusion when we go through it. Right, so from the back line, I have Molly Eastman from Collingwood and Gemma Wrigley from Williamstown. Full back, Tamsin Crook from the Bulldogs. Half back line, Eleanor Butler from Box Hill and Sarah Sinetti from the Bulldogs. Centre half back, Matilda Van Berkel. Wingers, Lulu Beattie from Darebin and Lily Rose Williamson from the Pies. Centre woman, Talia Sanger from the Pies. Four line, the flank is Stacia Stevenson from Box Hill and Octavia Di Donato from Carlton. Centre half forward, Annabelle Embleton. Forward pockets, Tia Davidge from the Bombers. And this is where I stuffed up here. And Ange Goka's on the other half forward line. So Stacia Stevenson in the pocket, so that's my change. And Monique Di Matteo at full forward, the ruck. Paige Price from Box Hill. Rovers, Tess Kettle from Box Hill. Again, Box Hill all over in the team here. And Ash Thornycroft, who was really good against Sandy last week, Izzy. And the bench, very good. Very, very good, wasn't she? Very, very impactful last week.
She's just a machine. She's been doing it for so long. She was meant to. I remember seeing a post on Williamson. She was meant to retire last year, coming into this year. And I spoke to one of the girls in the pracky match, and she was like, "Yeah, she just missed it. It's came back already."
You just can't get away sometimes, can you? You just can't. The love is still there.
She's a great competitor, and she's an amazing player. Like you can't argue with her. She's great.
Sure. And then on the interchange, we have Isla Baldwin, Hayley Peck, Ange Gokas, Emily Eves, and here's the Sandy, Courtney Audie. Now, is having a probably good year in the back line.
100% she is. Love Courts. Yeah.
For sure. And now, before I mention who the new player I put in, because I've just stuffed up and realized I put a player short, so I have to think in my head while we go through this. But now, obviously losing Ellery Morris, obviously it's a massive loss in that backup. Yeah. Not only does she bring the former VFLW experience, but she's been playing really well this year, more importantly, before 100%. The injury. And unfortunately doing her Achilles at training, she told me, and that's not good at all. How do you kind of combat the loss with her? Do you is it just a direct replacement? Does everyone have to kind of step up? How do you kind of try and fill the void of Ellery gone for now?
Well, Chloe Salter was playing in the forward line. She's going really well as well. But yeah, that was a mention that went around the rooms that Salter is getting pushed back, unfortunately. And she's just also a competitor, similar to Ellery. So that happened. So that's kind of like the void that's filled. But I think in terms of like Ellery's marking ability, I think Courts she definitely stood up this week. Just with her ability to get above packs and things like that. And then DJ, she's really, rocked up in the last few weeks, just being an absolute bulldog, just being an absolute pest and just never giving up. So I think everyone in the back line has stood up, which is amazing. Like you never like to see a teammate get an injury, let alone like season ending. So yeah, everyone literally has just taken it and taken like best foot forward, and just making sure that, she's missed. She's 100% missed, like you said, playing bloody amazingly, which is shit that she went down. But everyone else has kind of stood up and really taken the reins on that one. So yeah, that's kind of how we've gone about, filling the role as big of boots as they are. Yeah, that's how we've kind of gone about filling the role.
For sure. Now the substitution I've made it. I've for some reason forgotten. I've pushed Stacia Stevenson to the pocket, and I put Isla Ball in the half. She's been really good play for Box Hill, and if you come across Box Hill, Izzy sometime this year, there'll be plenty of players to look out for there. And I've put onto the field someone who played against you yesterday, Eloise Ashley Cooper, obviously one of your old teamers I put on the field, is probably one of their better players. And on the bench with her, I have Hayley Peck from Geelong, Ange Gokas from Darebin, Emily Eves from Williamstown, and as I mentioned, Courtney as well. So that's the team of the week I've got, which is now on the screen there. And obviously on the emergency list, Layla Price from the Bombers and Amy Trinidad from the Blues and Winnie Lane, your own teammate as well. But yeah, how do you feel like some of these players on these lists are gone? Because some of these players I've had in probably 3 or 4 times. Are there any names come to mind that you feel like on this team that have had a strong season overall?
I think Molly Eastman, since being, obviously delisted, I think she's come back and from what I've seen of her, she's back with a vengeance, which is kind of scary. But yeah, I think, Emily Eves, she's had multiple great seasons. Like you can never argue with her. And then Monique Di Matteo, again, just constant performer, is just performing week in, week out. And then obviously Tess Cattle as well. really, really solid. Like all the girls, there's so many girls that are having really consistent seasons, which is really, really exciting. So yeah,
For sure. Now, obviously, there was a few pies on there. Some ex-AFLW players, some current. As you mentioned, Molly. Obviously, she's probably a bit like the team. She's really stepped it up the last few. She was fine before in their losses, but the last 2 weeks in their wins, she's been a key part. I reckon, key contributor as to why, at least from their back half, why they've
yeah,
probably had these wins the last 2 weeks. And a comfy win against North, which almost no one can do, and they just
yeah.
went and done it. So
100%. Yep. It's always scary when you come up against North, let alone when they're points in front, they've got their tails up. So to come back and turn around and then win from behind is amazing. It'd be a great win for them as a team as well to know that they can win and then win from behind as well. Like no one loves having to come back, but I think if you can do it and be clutch, then it's great.
Now, how would you go, Lizzie, from a team point of view when you have some good wins? So if you're kind of trying to be in the shoes of Collingwood here, like obviously you're going to be really happy having the win and everything like that. But how, in some case for Sandy, like how do you contain that? Like, okay, we just had a great win, but don't get overconfident now thinking, okay, this goes for anyone. This is just an example. That
Yeah.
you've had a great win, you beat the best side in the comp, well, generally from last year at least. How do you like kind of go keep a lid on it, basically go, okay, that's great, but we're going to move on, and every other team is in opposition. And for example, North could have just had a bad quarter, and next time you're playing could be completely different result.
Yeah. I think the key is letting the win sink in, to be honest. Like the last 20 minutes after the game, you really want to soak it in. Like, especially in Collingwood's case, if you're coming back beating, one of the favourites in the comp, you really want to let
Yeah.
it sink in. You want to be really, really excited. You want to really take it all in. So then when you rock up on training the next day, like the next time you train, you're
Yeah.
on to the next job. Whereas like I think if you're like you're excited, you go sing the song and you're like, okay, girls, like we've got, we've still got next, like we've got to, stay on it. Like you're always in the back of your head, you're like, but fuck, that was a good win. So I think that for me is the key. That's kind of how I go about anything. Let it sink in, even for the rest of the day. Like let it sink in, like, you know, have have a good time with the girls when you're in the rooms and then like go home and you're like, fuck, that was good. Like put your
Yeah.
feet up, get your recovery done. You can, boost yourself up if you need, or, crap, I had a really good game, or, it wasn't my best, but I'm so proud of the girls, like really positive, and everything. But then next day you're back on the job for the next week. I think that's a real key, because I think if you try cut the celebrations down, then it's always in the back of your head. So yeah, gotta let it get out, and then you're ready to move on, I think. Yeah.
For sure. All right, let's now go through a few other players. Now, obviously, we talked about the disappointing news of losing Ellery Morris to the side. What's it like now having your good mate where the boot was off last week, Sophie Locke, that is? Must be nice to have her out there no matter how the results going in from like good to have a good player like her back out there.
Just her vibe as well. Like she's just great to have around the group. Like she's sending a couple of us like photos of her and her Red Bull of a morning. She's just a really good character to have around the group. Like she brings the energy, she brings the vibes. Like it's even on the field, like she just make sure everyone's together. Can be serious when you need her to be, but like is a really awesome teammate. So yeah,
Very
really good
good.
to have her back.
That's good. Now, speaking of the weekend's game, let's go through the first one. So, well, I mean, this I felt like could have gone either way, considering how Casey went it against Essendon last week. In that, speaking of having the margin on their side, then losing it, that's what I mean about confidence and what it can do to a side, and maybe that shot them in the foot the week after. Because this week on the weekend, Darebin had a massive win over Casey, 8-10-58 to 2-2-14. Now, Izzy, that's the result, like in terms of who wins and losses, that could have gone either way, but the margin land, that's pretty annihilating. They've big thump, 18 scoring shots to 4. That's a demolition.
I definitely think Darwin have got their tails up at the moment, which is good. I think it adds a different layer. It adds more competitive teams. It adds more stress to the teams in the top half of the ladder. When you've got someone like a team down there really pushing and pushing convincingly as well. It's like Collingwood as well. Like similar. You're painting them like similar brush in the sense that like they're hitting their straps and it's like they're pushing for top 6 contention. So, yeah, I think it's great. I think Casey's an odd one. Like they'll rock up and they'll put Essendon to the sword and almost win against them, but then it's odd turning around and then having them lose by such a margin by a team that's on the ladder, not that much higher than them. But yeah,
Yes.
it's quite odd. Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a thing from the start. It's like you get the lead and then it just kept going. I mean, I can't say if they. I won't say, and I don't even know the answer to say if they gave up or not. But that's what I mean. Like the comms, like how much do you feel like a come from behind loss, where you compare them to a North who have just had this week, where I'm sure they'll bounce back because they're a much stronger side than what Casey. That's not a dig at them. It's just a fact. That's how their North have been the premiers last year, and Casey were near the bottom last year. So, like,
Yeah.
how do you kind of try and instill that confidence now? We're talking about the opposite, about keeping a lid on it. If you're Collingwood, in their example, how do you do it if you're Casey, though, having that come from behind loss happen to them last week, where they had against a good side who are on top right now, Essendon, and lose that lead, and now this week they have a side, as you said, on their level, and well, the results didn't show that at all.
Yeah. I think it's very similar, I think. Like for us especially, like Williamstown came from behind to beat us. And it's
Mm.
I think you more realise it in a close game. So like we had a really close game this week, and I think, that fear of losing was a part of it.
Yeah.
But you've got to cop the loss, cop the negatives, then you bounce back to review. And you're like, okay, what can we do better? What did we do well? What can we take well from that game? And what can we leave there and do better? So I think it's a real mental challenge when you come up against a come from behind loss. It's not
Mhm.
easy to then back up the next week and be like, okay, cool, like let's go, like we're fine. Um, it's definitely more stressful because you're like, well, crap, like we blew a lead. So what are
Mm.
we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do if we get a lead this time? Like, there's all those like negative red brain type of situations where you don't love to be a part of, but you need to make sure that you keep yourself in that blue brain mentality and you know what you can do well, not what know what so know what you did well, know what you didn't do well,
Yeah.
and then just be better basically. Um, and that's all you can really do. You can't really control
Yeah.
the other team and whether they have any ins or outs or negatives, pluses, or if they score a freakish goal for like 60 out. You can't really control that. You got to
Mm.
control your controllables and rock back up to training, do your recovery, and yeah, do your review and hope for the best. Not hope for the
For
best,
sure.
but do the best to get back on the track. Yeah.
Mm. Sure, and obviously, as I mentioned, the kind of the three that were in my team, like Monique Di Matteo, 3 goals, just another one up there in the Coleman race. Or what do you want to call leading goalkeeper award already? But that's really no surprise to anyone that knows the competition. And obviously, Lulu Beatty came across from Carlton. We mentioned a few times, had a good game on the weekend along with Ange Goga, as we talk about very consistent performances. Just another goal in 27, just another lazy 27.
Exactly. Like when you've got girls like that performing, I think the addition of Lulu Beatty is great. I think that's boosted their skill level and it's probably taken a little bit of pressure off of your Di Matteos and your Ange Gogos. Like they're able
Mm.
to probably do more of the work that they want to do and not
Yes.
be carrying most of the load. Like
Yes.
yeah.
For sure. Now, the next game on the weekend, which was Geelong and Essendon, the side like Casey is Geelong that have really struggled this year from a scoring point of view and obviously on the win-loss ratio. 3-6-24 to Essendon, 9-10-64. So almost a carbon copy of the Darabin game. Geelong, they started okay the first 5 minutes. They kept Essendon scoreless for a while, and then a bit like the Darabin one, it just went up and up and up, and then it got bigger the longer it went.
Yeah. I don't actually really keep too many tabs on this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it shocks me a little bit because I find Geelong are definitely a better second half team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then also maybe that's coming up against Essendon, who are also a pretty good second half team. So you never know. And I think Essendon are firing on all cylinders at the moment. So
Mm.
that's also a scary one.
Yeah, I was
But
shocked at
yeah,
them. Yeah, so far.
yeah. Well, I was thinking earlier in the season, like, they had a couple of weird losses, a couple of weird wins, and now they're just,
Mhm.
yeah, let's go. Which is exciting for them. I yeah, a couple of the girls, they do a lot of strong work and they're hard to play against, put it that way. They're
Yeah.
always hard to play against. It's like your Carlton and stuff. Like if you win, it's never an easy win and you're coming away with some bruises because they're just a hard footy team to play against and they're just, they're not rough. I respect the way that they play the game and yeah, they just go for it, which is great.
Yeah, they were sort of like I could never get a read on them. You talk about like a second half, and they're stronger, and the start is a bit different. I didn't know where to grade them. I just had other teams above them, and so far, well, I mean, there's still half a season to go, so anything can change. They might
Yeah.
not even make it potentially. I doubt it the way they've started, but you never know with how close it is now. There's, as I said, 7 teams all vying for a spot, and if you lose 2 in a row, you could fall yourself from the top down to just outside the 8, just like that. So, outside the
Yeah.
6. So, just
Yeah.
like that, it could easily change. Now, obviously, now they've got a pretty dangerous team, and you're talking about their side as a whole. Obviously in the ruck, like Layla Prince, I think she was one that's probably been a good recruit for them from Carlton. I think she had 20 odd hit outs, 30 odd hit outs and 20 disposals. Ruckman, I know Erica Fowler's doing a bit of that as well, but there's like so many good rucks in Paige Price and Box Hill. Ruckman that can not only just win the hit outs easy, but that can get a lot of the ball and actually do something with it that actually is impactful. Like those 3 have done, is a credit to all 3 of them. But the rucks these days, you're probably going to need a bit more of that now.
I think so. I think your hybrid ruck is the way to go. You can't. I think gone are the days where you're having a ruck that can only ruck,
Yeah.
and can't kick. Well, you saw the bloke from Fremantle,
Sean
he kicked
Darty.
no, other one
Oh.
with from Melbourne. He was from Melbourne.
Luke Jackson. Yeah.
Luke Jackson kicks a drop punt from the right pocket. Like that's the type of thing rucks are expected to do now. They can jump, but they also, they can kick a lace out footy, they can kick from 50, they can, get a ground ball. So that's kind of, you need that extra midfielder in there because if you come up against a team that, has a bit less of a mobile ruck, then it's, a lot easier to go 4 against 3 basically. So yeah.
And then, you mentioned with Geelong too, so I want to ask a little bit more about them. You mentioned it when we spoke the first time on here about their third quarter and how they kick those few goals in a row, and you just mentioned then again about you feel like they're better than they are. What do you think is some of their strengths that they've shown? Obviously, firsthand, you only seen them a week or so ago.
Yeah.
What is some of their strengths you feel overall?
They're obviously quite young, so I think their run and carry is something they probably need to use a little bit more of. They definitely try just get it out of the stoppage. They don't want to be in a stoppage, so they just try to get it out, which I think they could just, break the line a little bit more. Which is what caught us out when we versed them when they scored those few goals. They broke the line, they ran, carried the footy, and they got past our line of defense. So that's what's going to win them games. That's what's going to get them scores on the board. So I think they just need to do more of that, take into consideration that some of the clubs going around, like some of the teams going around at the moment, we have some girls that aren't we don't have all the young ones. So Sandy's pretty lucky. We have quite a few young 18-year-olds, but I think Geelong, that's definitely something they have to tap into. Like they don't have the experience obviously as some other clubs, but I think touching into that young run, go, don't care if you get tackled, like take the game on, try your skills. I think kind of like go globetrotter, like Harlem globetrotter type situation to get through the line.
They feel like, I don't know what you think of this. You're talking about Geelong, they got a lot of young players. Do you feel like though that, I don't know what you would say from this, but like with like a recruiting point of view, do you feel like just any club as a whole, they're going to try and blend out? You're talking about Sandy, for example, having a lot of, doesn't mean they don't have to be ex-FLW players, but like mature bodies or players that have been playing for a while at that level. Do you feel like from a recruiting point of view, they've got to, for any club in this situation, got to try to steer away from just taking local players or your regional players and the same age? I know you can say over time might help, but who's to say they're going to be there at that point? And who's to say they're not going to get drafted or anything like that? Do you feel like that model of recruiting probably would need to be different? Because as you said, it's a much younger side.
I think it's quite hard with Geelong, and it's similar to Darebin in a sense, and they're so far away. Like if you're moving to Melbourne or something, it's quite a commitment to be like, okay, I'll move to Melbourne and I'll play with, say if you're playing VFL, I'll go to Geelong, which is it's so far away from everything. And some girls are commuting from Melbourne to Geelong for training and stuff. So it's a bit of a weird one. I do think that they need to find something to be able to allure more of, even if it's just not just the VFL girls, but girls that have played for a long time. Like you said, in this level, they know what to expect. They can impart their knowledge on some of the younger girls and just say in certain situations, like, yeah, probably this isn't the best way to go, or yep, I've played with this player for a few years, and this is how they play. This is how you can catch them out, or something like that. Like giving that
Yeah,
bit of insight, because there's only so much a coach can do off the field. You need those
yeah.
players on the field to show them how to go about it.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, they did get a new coach this year as well, so there's been a bit of change there, but I probably feel like from the recruiting side of things, they probably, I mean, not saying they haven't tried, I wouldn't know, but it's probably something they need to go down to at least improve their scores and everything like that. And you said the way they need to play in that little patch against you guys, they probably need to try. And now Boxtel 56, 8-8, 56. Good win over the Bulldogs 3-4, 22. Now, if you were someone, and that's not referring to you, that's just anyone listening. If you were just to look at these scores, you go like, oh yeah, Boxall, yeah, Bulldogs lost their AFLW players. That's not a surprise, and Boxall a strong side, and that's what's it. But they actually were losing by 2 goals at halftime. They kicked 8 to the last 9 goals this year, and the only goal that Bulldogs got in the second half was literally on the siren when it dribbled through on the boundary line. So they effectively conceded 8 goals to 0 in the second half. And they come from behind with Box Hill Sox. And that's also a scary thought, considering they were angry last week with that Collingwood controversy, which I spoke about last week, which is the time clock wasting one. Yeah, they would have been really angry, and I know that for a fact, because I saw it first time when they were walking off. They weren't happy at all, and rightfully so. Anyway, but they would have been not happy at half time when they were losing by 10 points. And gee, I don't know what they did at half time, but they went bang, 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 literally, and they end up winning easily.
It doesn't. I don't know. It's surprising from the Bulldogs, because I have a lot of respect for them, and I think they, a very hard team to come up against. But then on the flip side, you look at a team like Box Hill. They are a good team. They've got, on country to Geelong, they've got girls who have been in the system for a while. They've got some ex-AFLW players. They've got some really young ones. They've got that good mix. They've got that experience. That experience, that young, but then that also that drive, that go, that want to win, and they're not scared to try anything as well, which is good. So as the Bulldogs, you wouldn't be happy if you're getting 8 goals scored in the second half, but Reece, the coach at the Dogs, he will not be happy about that, and I'll be scared for whoever comes up against the Bulldogs this week. Put it that way.
Oh, that would be Williamstown.
Oh, that'll be an interesting game. Yeah, they're gonna come out hard though. No team likes having 8 unanswered. Well, 8-1, but pretty much 8 unanswered goals scored against them. So yeah.
Yeah, it's you mentioned there, and that's exactly the model that Geelong should be trying, even to at least attempt it, whether they're Boxer, you're talking about the younger ages, the ex-AFLW players, the older ones, even if they had never played AFLW before, they got the right mix, and that is the perfect model that any club that doesn't do that needs to look at that. And Box Hill, a credit to them when they're recruiting, they overloaded on recruitments. I mean, you literally pop on Instagram every day, 2 months before the season, new player, new player. But hey, it's worked so far, and a lot of those players have been playing, so I mean, it's cases included there, which is a good thing. They got a lot of players, and I've interviewed some players in the past prior to them joining Box Hill. You got some that are still there now that aren't playing games or injured. They got a lot of the draftees this year. I feel like they did not get drafted last year. They were talking about Stacey Stevenson, who's probably been one of the best recruits this year. Otla Baldwin, who's the second year out of the draft system, was really stiff in her draft year. And they've gone back, and those two have been their best 2 players. And they're the 2 youngest players, or thereabouts. And then you had the ruck. Paige Price wasn't there recently, so then she's killing it. And then Etnat Exxon, former Saint, she's playing her part. Gabby Collingwood, who's been through a few clubs over her time, she's doing real well. So the mixture is there of age and young youth players that are just killing it. And that's a scary proposition when you come up against them. This is why I was shocked last week and this first half of this week.
Yeah, 100%. They've got it right over there, I think so.
For sure. And as you said with the Bulldogs, I was waiting for this. I did. This was my bold call that they may not make the 8, or keep saying the top 8, the top 6. I've got footy in mine with the top 8 system, that the ladder's all different everywhere else. But I wanted to see how they went without these AFLW players in. And they had that big changeover on their own list from their own VFLW list of players. I was keen to see how they go. And the first I thought, okay, maybe they haven't. It's not a bigger loss as I thought it would be. And then the opposite happened in the second half. So I still kind of don't know with that. And Williamstown is probably another perfect team to see how they go. If they win that, they go, okay, crap. Now there might be another threat to the top part of the ladder as well. So, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they go. And Sarah Sinetti, who's one that used to be at Collingwood, she had 20 touches and she was pretty decent for them in the back half.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I think they're gonna. Yeah, I think win or lose this week, they're gonna come back a lot stronger.
Well, watch your space, and as Izzy would say, on the Eagles and the Bulldogs, and we'll see how they go. Right, the next game. Speaking of the Pies, 7-4-46 to the Roos, 5-3-33. Now the Roos have lost 2 of their last 4 or 3, I think. I know the coach Brett Gawley pretty well. Had him on not too long ago, and obviously a premiership coach, and they got a great list as well, a very good one. It's going to be interesting to see how they come out of this one, North. Again, you're talking about Williamstown not wanting to face Bulldogs because of what happened to them. I don't think you want to face North this week.
Nah, they've got elite players there. Yeah, they've got elite players, North Melbourne. So
yes,
I wouldn't want to come up against them. Like Alana Barber just is one. She's a machine. Like you just don't want to come up against her. Like if she's, they're coming off, a couple of losses in the last few weeks, so they're not a team you'd want to come up against. They're going to be out for blood. They're going to be, out for a win. So, yeah, they're going to probably go back to their fundamentals, back to their game plan, back to the simple stuff, and do that right. So, yeah.
For sure. I mean, I know we alluded to this before, so I won't get into it again. But like another team that come from behind loss, where they had a perfect lead. And they kicked a few goals. I know Lily Rose Williamson got the sealer from 45. Pretty impressive, if you ask me. 45 on the right flank for the former Bomber. Yeah, it was pretty impressive. And I watched that going, how has this even happened? I mean, Collingwood again, well, I was waiting for them to come back in terms of like their season. They have. But North, I couldn't believe they had a good lead and then they lost it very quickly, just like a few other games this week.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Weird, I think.
Yeah, as I said, I fear to be Port Melbourne who have got North this week. Now, speaking of Williamstown, Carlton 3-3-21 to Williamstown 5-3-33. I felt like this game, I mean, albeit a closer score, that Williamstown seemed to kind of have a bit of control, and Carlton did get a few goals late in the game. But Izzy, how do you feel with this side? Because you mentioned Wilson, you only just played them last week, and you mentioned before, Emily, you said their midfield has been a consistent performer. And again on the weekend.
Yeah. Carlton are a hard one to come up against. You can never really run away with it. So, and they're always on. They're always ready to come back, which is probably why they scored a couple of goals late. But it doesn't surprise me that Williamstown are kind of, flexing their muscles a little bit towards this middle part of the season. And they're doing their job. They're getting good wins, good basics right, and then just working their way through it.
Yeah, I think they had a few injuries off the top of my head. One to come to mind was Neve Crowley, who's been, speaking of when you played Williamstown, she was one that was really impactful in that last one. I think she kicked a goal, not because she kicked a goal, but I think she had a few contested marks in that forward line and backup ruck, and something that they missed this week, and I'm sure she'll be back this week. But yeah, they're talk about dangerous. Yeah, they probably haven't hit their full straps yet in terms of their heavy scoring. Obviously, they're really good with that in the past, and I'm waiting for that. They've had a lot of these lower scoring, but albeit winning. I'm waiting for one of the games where they explode, where they're scoring the 60, 70 plus range.
100%. Yeah. It'll be scary for everyone once that happens, I think.
Well, as I said before, you said about Bulldogs, their opponents want to fear them. That's Williamstown. And now I'm going to say the opposite. I think for a different reason. I feel like this might be the game that Williamstown get ahead pretty well, but we'll see. And then the last game is your own game. Sandy, 4 straight, 24. You don't miss when you shoot a goal. And 3-6. 24. Now, we spoke about it a little bit, but Issy, overall, what do you put it down to overall in this game? Obviously, as you mentioned, it was a slow start, kicked a few goals, and then got plateaued and a bit even, and then they got that last quarter dominance. How did you... Yeah. And then the few last 2 minutes was all over the place as well. So what would you put it down to, and how can you move on from it?
I think it's... Whilst it's annoying, obviously, to get a draw, I think it's... to play against a very good side like that, like they're well drilled, they play well. I think it's similar to what I said before with the losses. Like you just go back to your fundamentals, you go through your review, you feel the loss or you feel the draw, and you move on. Because obviously coming up against Collingwood this week, only a 6-day break. We
Mm.
don't have that much time really. So we've really got to, turn it on, wake up, and we've got to do some work on how we need to start our games better because that's obviously where we're losing it. Lost it, first Williamstown 2 goals in the first half, or like, the first little bit. That's what lost us the
Mm.
game. We lose by 1 point. We we draw against Port Melbourne. They score 1 goal 5, 1 goal 3 in the first couple of minutes. Like
Yeah.
that's the type of thing that we're coming up against. And they don't score those, or they score 1 point or something like that, and turns around we win 2 games and we're still undefeated. So um yeah, whilst it's annoying, it's also like, okay, cool. We've got to lose. We've got to get better. So we've got to be aware that um every team's beatable, including us. So yeah, it's just back to the basics, back to the fundamentals, and yeah, just get back to work basically.
Mm. How much of an impact is it losing players, no matter who they are, whether they're your best players, or in the example, Ellery Moss, and obviously Sofa's gone for a few weeks as well. So when you lose players like that, is it more as simple as the next person steps up? Does everyone kind of have to, kind of contribute as well in the positions that they play, that are is it other players that are playing those type of roles as well to step up as well while they're gone?
It's been pretty hard, obviously, with Ellery, and then we had Emily Shepherd do her ACL last week as well, actually, and
Yeah.
she's a really exciting like forward.
Mm.
So it's just kind of finding, um, I'm trying to find my feet in the forward as well, and it's just it is hard, I think, because then there's
Mm.
there's younger players that are needing to step up. Like Ellery is a perfect example. Like she's a seasoned footballer. She's played AFLW. She's a
Mm.
bloody hard shooter, Phil. Um,
Mm.
but it does take a little bit of a mental tax because you're like, oh crap, there's another one down. There's another one down. But
Mm.
we just kind of get around each other, get around the girls, get around each person that's either done an injury or something like that, and you've kind of just got to move on. Like we've got such a short season, so you can't really be dwelling on something for a couple of weeks. Otherwise, that's a couple of games gone, and there's only
Mm.
14 round matches. So we've really got to be on it, basically.
For sure, definitely. Now let's go and preview the round 7 games to wrap us up here, Izzy. So the first game this week, I'm looking at the fixture just briefly without even giving a prediction yet. It's going to be some interesting ones. So we've got Essendon and Box Hill to start Saturday. I'm looking at these time slots, Izzy. Starting to slowly, not fully clash. There's some clashes, but not all within 2 hours. So I'm liking this. It's slowly
Yeah.
improving in that. And there's some more Sunday games too, which is good. Now, the first one at Windy Hill, 11:05 on Saturday. You've got the Bombers and Box Hill. Where you're going with this one? As you said, it's going to be a hard one.
I'm pegging that. I'm going to peg that as the game to watch this weekend. Like, holy
Mm.
moly! Like if they both bring their best, if they both bring their A game and like what they've been bringing the last couple of weeks, it's going to be an intense game. Like it's either going to be like they're both really great with their attack, so it's probably going to be a high scoring affair, but it's going to be the one to watch. I think like they both will want to get a win up. Um, I I'm gonna back Box Hill.
Yeah.
Only like by single digit margin. I don't know what, but single digit margin.
Okay.
I just think that they're so well drilled, but then also yet again, it wouldn't surprise me if Essendon got up. But I think either way, it's gonna be a single digit scoreline. Like single digit margin, sorry.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Look. I got a bit more confidence in Box Hill, but Essendon, again, they've been a good side this year. I feel like Box Hill had those small losses, and in controversial fashion, so I feel like they probably feel the same. I rate them a bit higher than probably what the ladders show they are, but then again, it was a 2-point margin. There's nothing, not a big deal. I'm going to go Box Hill by 11 points, but again, not a big margin either. So we'll see how that goes. On Saturday, 12:05, here's this clashing stuff. 12:05 at Casey Fields. It's Casey Demons and Carlton. This one, well, again, what Casey's turning up is the consistent low-scoring affair side. Carlton going to put it in shot. Is Casey going to do what they did to Essendon for 3/4 of a game? So what's going to? This one's. This is the one of all of them. This is the only one I'm confused of where it could go in terms of the margins, at least. Anyway, it sounds like the Durham and Casey one. I mean, this could be anything.
I've got no idea. I think both teams, the Casey Fields are just a hard ground to play at. And Casey just do it really well. But I think I think Carlton are gonna. They've got a very good defense. Carlton, I think they're gonna keep it low scoring,
Mm.
and then probably score a bit. But I think it's gonna be Carlton by about one goal, 7 points or something like that. I reckon.
Yeah, yeah. I'll go. I was actually going to go Casey because they're at home, but I've changed my mind while you've been talking. So I'll go
Yeah,
Carlton. How much did you say? 7?
I said 7, 6 or 7. Yeah,
Okay. Well, or 7. All right. I'll go flat 7. I'll go flat
yeah.
7 as
Okay,
well.
I'll go 6 then. Yeah, I
Here's a
reckon it's gonna
fun
be
fact.
less. Yeah,
Oh, you changed it. Oh, okay. I was going to say if you stick with 7, I'll go with 7, and it's in round 7. So it would have been
sorry.
3. It would have been 3 sevens. Round 7,
Oh, there you
7
go.
points. Yeah, 3 sevens. Anyway,
Mm,
now, so now, so now this ends up being 7 points, right? You're going to say to me, "Oh no, I originally said 7." So that's what I said. Then if it goes to 6, you'll say it was 6. So anyway, we'll see.
yeah,
Might
much
split it down
muchness.
the middle. Exactly. Right. The next game, it's your own game. It's the Pies and Sandy, 12:05 p.m. at Vic Park. Obviously, you're not going to give a margin and anything like that, obviously. I will do that for you. I think Sandy will get the win by 5 points. I really don't know. Now I'm a bit worried with Collingwood as well. Now I'm thinking Collingwood might be the side I thought they would be before the season started. And the wrong time to play face them, but I still got the faith. How much of this you answer, I don't know, but what kind of, with Collingwood, do you kind of have to watch out for?
Very attacking. Like they're exciting. They're gonna play a good brand of footy. And that's what they have been playing that have got them the wins. But I think it's similar to North Melbourne. I'm not going to say that we're in the same, paint us with the same brush, but I think
Mm.
I do think it's going to be exciting to come up against us. Like we're not playing our best
Mm.
footy at the moment. And when we were playing really really well. So and we're playing glimpses of it, which is exciting, and no team can run with us. So I think it's very
Yeah.
exciting to. I think we're a sleeping giant at the moment as well. We obviously were awake start of the year, and now we're back asleep. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think we should we're going to be exciting stuff, I reckon.
Very good. Now, you won't have to answer this, but I'll say it for you. I think some players to watch out for, and it's not the XAFLW players, it's two of the experienced and younger midfielders. Talia Sang, I just mentioned her before. She had 26 on the weekend, kicked a goal, and she's had a pretty good year. She was one that, again, missed out on the draft last year that probably should have been picked up. So she runs through the midfield, and obviously you can't go past their skipper, Dom Carbone, as well, for that midfield. And then even some of the players that you've been mentioning. You mentioned Molly Eastman earlier. Lily Rose Williamson, who was in my team of the week as well. She's another one. Lauren Seghetti, who's kind of picked it up the last few weeks. Dick Swan playing halfback, I
Yeah.
think, in a bit of midfield as well. So it's another one. So they've got the players there. That's why I had them in the top 4 pre-season. So we'll see how they go. Going to be a good one. Hopefully it's a high-scoring affair, and hopefully there's none of this clock stuff. Because funnily enough, a few of them have involved Collingwood. So we will
And
see. Hopefully that
Collingwood's
doesn't happen.
always had it. Collingwood's always at the top of the controversy list.
Yeah, very interesting, aren't they? Right. Now, the other Saturday game, way apart in time, so this is better. 3:05 p.m. at Genesis Steel Oval. We have Darebin and Geelong. I feel like this is the only game that is pretty comfortable choice, I feel. I got Darebin by 20. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go Darebin by about, I'm going to say 16.
16, yeah. Again, I think I'll be confident in saying that Darebin win this. But the margin, it could go absolutely anywhere.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
the last 2 games we have here, they are 2 Sunday games, which is great to see. Sunday, this time is he 9:35. Yikes.
We had a 9:45 last week, and it's terrible time.
Oh yeah. How was that? How was it getting up
Terrible.
early? All that stuff. Yeah.
I'm not an early bird. No.
No.
Don't. We can push it to like 11. We can push it to 10:30. That's okay. 9:45. That's a no-go for me. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Some people say, "Oh, it's only 45 minutes," but you don't understand it. It's not even just a travel part; it's the 45 minutes early for something else. It's just, and then it keeps going on and on and on. It's, I see that time. I mean, technically, I have a choice. You don't, but it's like, oh God, not this again, or not this time. Or you see it for weeks, right? And you go, oh shit, I'm not looking forward to that week. No matter how we're going, who they're playing, how your form is, it's all that. That's out the window when you see the time.
Exactly.
Yes, but you got through that. Hopefully, you don't have any more time slots like that.
Fingers
but
crossed.
yes, fingers crossed. You're back into the fixture times and that aren't out yet, so I've probably just jinxed it for you, so I apologise if that happens. Williamstown and the Bulldogs at DSV Stadium. This is the one we both kind of hyped up the other side. So where are you going here? Surely you're going to go with the Bulldogs after what you just said before.
Williamstown at home, though.
Yes.
Yeah, Williamstown. I'm going to say Williamstown by 12.
And I'm going to say something very similar. I'm going to go Williamstown by... I'm waiting for this score fest for them. I'm going to go... This is the week. I'm going 20. Going 20.
Yeah,
a bit of a bold time, but we shall see. And the last one is Port Melbourne and North Melbourne on Sunday at 11:05 a.m. at ETU Stadium. A great ground, as you mentioned last few weeks ago. Where are you going here?
Port hate to lose at home. I think obviously North Melbourne are going to come back with a vengeance, but I think Port will win at home. So I'm going to say like Port by 9.
9. I've been debating this every time I've thought of this game. I really don't know. I'm gonna stick faith to the side that won the premiership last year, and they're out for vengeance after last week. I think this could. I say this now, but it might not be. But I think this will be a shootout as well. Port Melbourne, I mean, they've been very good. They were good on the weekend against you girls. But I feel like if this does go to a goal fest, I feel like the higher the scores get, the more it's in North's favour because they have a lot of high scores against anyone. So if it keeps going to over 40 points, I'll have North win this by 12 points. But this is one that could go really, really either way.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. I think the higher the scores get, the more scoring power North have.
Yes.
I think Port bring the intensity. They do score goals, obviously. They bring the intensity, they bring the stoppage, they bring, the pressure and everything like that. But I do think when it comes to scoreboard pressure, North are just amazing at it. They just, once they're on top and once they've, got that couple of goal lead, they keep going. They're not a team that stops. So, yeah. I will still back Port. I will back Port in, though.
Yeah, this definitely is going to be an interesting round of VFLW footy. And for some teams, this could shape their season. For the sides that haven't won a game, like Casey, Carlton and Geelong, I mean, personally, I feel like they won't make it anyway. But realistically, though, from their side, the confidence may get shot if they lose another one, all three of them. And 2 of them play each other. So whoever loses that's probably done already because they would have been then 0-7. So it's going to be an interesting one to see who wins that one. And since around Issy, some big games, some big moments. It's been a pleasure having you on. And
thank you.
How do you feel also you have gone, just finally then, how do you feel you've gone the last few weeks since we were last on?
Last week definitely wasn't my best game. I think I'm getting a little lost in the midfield right now, but
okay.
I'm feeling at home in the forwards. Obviously haven't scored a goal yet, but I feel like I'm bringing my old-fashioned pressure that I'm known for and what I brought with myself in Queensland. So I'm back to that, back to being clean at ground level, and everything like that. So really finding my confidence back. Didn't have an overly confident year last year, so finding a lot of confidence in myself, and I think in the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna hopefully hit the straps, and then follow through for the rest of the season. But just need to get my hands on the footy and keep working. So
For sure. No, I agree with you in terms of like your tackling is definitely one of your strengths, and then the quick hands, which I saw firsthand at the Geelong game, that's something that I feel like that you're very good at and Issy. So keep that up, and I really do appreciate coming on and keep bumping up those tackles each and every week, and that's good to see. Thanks, Issy. Thank you.
Cheers, Goose.